What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Kid Taj. This is a late video, and I know I didn't really have a lot planned, but the Sixers just beat the Indiana Pacers for their first win of the NBA season, which leaves not only no undefeated teams remaining in the NBA, but also we don't have any winless teams. Every team has at least one win and one loss. No more 0 and something or something and 0 records. And that's honestly something great because we love competitiveness. We want every team to be competitive in the NBA. That's how the NBA is fun. And the Sixers against the Indiana Pacers in overtime. Now, a lot of people might talk about the Sixers and say that they're trash or they're not good because they're rebuilding or they're just unlucky, everyone gets injured. Usually with the Philadelphia 76ers, they're only really associated with negativity, but something about them, and if you haven't been paying attention to the Sixers, you don't know this, but the Philadelphia 76ers have been competing this year. Yes, okay, they hadn't won a game until, today, but in almost every single game that they lost, which is almost every single game they played, they were competitive. Their game against the Pacers just the other day, which was their last game, I believe that was an overtime game as well. I think it was their last game where they played the Pacers. I don't even know. Maybe it was yesterday, the day before. But they just played the Pacers and they lost in overtime. Their first game of the season, they played the Thunder and they barely lost that. It took Westbrook coming up in the clutch for the Thunder to take that win. The Sixers have been close with almost every team they've played. They definitely should have won at least one game before this. They got their W. And honestly, things should just only look better. The season should be better to the Sixers than it's been in a couple of years. They've been the worst team ever, at least over the last couple of years. Like, if you've watched them play, the win totals have been absolutely abysmal. And, you just want to see more out of that squad. Now you will. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're probably going to be one of the worst teams in the conference. But they're not going to be as bad as they were the last couple of years. They've been more competitive. They've got Joel Embiid with a big game tonight in the win against the Pacers. The Sixers are an up-and-coming team, and when they get Ben Simmons back, they're going to have at least a bunch of guys that can really play for them, and that team's going to look a whole lot more entertaining, and it's going to be good for the future. So let's talk about the Indiana Pacers. Yes, this video wasn't really scripted at all. I got to make a video today. I'll just talk about the Sixers winning their first game. The Indiana Pacers, something is happening with them. Okay, I don't know what it is, but they went from being a top-notch defensive team last season with Frank Vogel. They fire Frank Vogel, and now they're like one of the worst defensive teams in the league. This is crazy. First of all, I don't know why they fired him in the first place, but you got to get past that, right? He's gone. Now you got to build on what you had before, but they've not taken a step forward. They've taken a step back. I predicted them to be the 6th seed this year. And I know people that predict them to be a top 3 seed, a 2 seed, even a 1 seed for the most optimistic of folks out there. But that doesn't even look like it could happen. I don't think it's even possible that they get a 1 seed. That would be unheard of. They'd have to go crazy, make an epic transformation. But they just don't look good. Okay, they went to the overtime with the Sixers last night, I believe. The last game they played against the Sixers, they went to overtime with them, and then this game they lost to the Sixers. The Sixers are the worst team in the league other than the Pelicans. Actually, the Pelicans are probably worse. Sixers have been more competitive. The Pelicans have been competitive too, but they haven't been playing good teams, I guess. I don't know. They're about the same. No team in the NBA is like how the Sixers were last year. There's no team that's just so bad that they can't compete with anyone. That was like the Sixers. The Sixers this year are a lot better than the Sixers of last year. But the Pacers still can't be losing to a team like that, and they can't be in close games back-to-back with a team like that and going to overtime twice. I mean, that's terrible. And on top of that, they've gotten blown out on multiple occasions. They've taken losses to the Bucks, the Bulls, among other teams. They're not winning games as much as they should. They do not look like the team that they were expected to look like, and Paul George has not been an MVP candidate, something that he really addressed early. Before the season started, he wanted to be in the running for that MVP award. Well, that has not looked at all like a possibility so far. I mean, other guys are completely stealing his thunder. You got guys like Harden who's in the running, and Westbrook obviously up there. LeBron's going to be there every year. Curry and Durant in Golden State. as well. And then you got a couple other guys that, you know, have come out of the blue, like DeMar DeRozan and Kemba Walker, who've just playing out of their minds lately. I mean, really? Paul George isn't among any of those guys. And I even forgot to mention Damian Lillard, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple other guys who've been playing well. Blake Griffin, he's on that list as well. But Paul George isn't anywhere near there. Because, yes, he's been putting up decent numbers, but he's not leading his team. His team's supposed to be a great defensive team, and if he's really that good of a defensive player, he's got to propel them, you know, to being a great defensive team like he did last year, maybe. I mean, I don't know, maybe getting rid of Ian Mahimi wasn't good for this team. Miles Turner is supposed to be a really good defensive force, but things haven't panned out for them. Jeff Teague has definitely been a downgrade, especially looking at George Hill, what he's doing in Utah this year and how well they're doing, and then you look at what Jeff Teague has been doing, at least defensively. I mean, Jeff Teague, there's nothing wrong with him offensively, but on defensive end, he's nothing near what George Hill was in terms of that. Monte Ellis, we already know he wasn't a good defender. Thaddeus Young, I don't know what he's really doing. He's kind of just doing his own thing. The fact of the matter is, the Pacers aren't a good defensive team anymore, and it sucks, but that's how it is. So let's talk more about the NBA, what's going on. The Sixers, I already addressed. This video was supposed to be about them, but I'm kind of just freelancing. But yeah, the Sixers, you know, they'll get more talk, you know, once they're winning more games. The Hornets lost their second game of the night to the Raptors, just barely, I think. You know, it was a close one, but Kemba Walker had 40 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. Huge game for him. But, you know, they lose to the Raptors. The Raptors are looking really good this year so far. I had them finishing third in the East. The Celtics, I had finished second, who got a huge win over the New York Knicks. They won 115-87. Blowout win. They're 4-4 as of now. And Melo got ejected early in this game. But they're really looking to be competitive. They want to build on last year, and DeMar DeRozan has been absolutely fantastic through the early going of this season. He's the scoring leader so far. He's a guy that no one really saw doing that just because of his limited offensive game. The fact that he's a mid-range scorer exclusively and, you know, slasher. He's an inside the arc shooting guard, which is not someone that we see get a lot of points generally, but this guy has found a way, and he's definitely one of the most unique players in the NBA in that aspect. Now, let's talk about what else? What other games happened? The Cavs got another win. They beat the Wizards, so the Cavs are 7-1 now, and the Wizards have just been disappointing game after game after game. It's not looking good for them. Okay, I think they're 2-6 now. You know, that team, they play the Bulls tomorrow without John Wall in Chicago. Doesn't look very good for them. That's a team that I didn't have making the playoffs, and I still don't have them making the playoffs. Doesn't look likely. But so far, I mean, some teams are 10 games in. Actually, yeah, the Jazz are 10 games in. They're 6-4, but most teams maybe 7 games in to 10 games in. That's like the range. Yeah, I mean, we're getting into this NBA season. I'm so excited, and I can't wait for more basketball. This was a short video. You know, I don't know. I just kind of came up with this on the fly. Oh, and shout out to me. I just got my 700 subscribers. And yeah, that's a great thing. I'm really thankful for that. I hope y'all keep supporting. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment I did down below since I didn't have any right now. Subscribe if you're new. I'm out. Thanks for watching. Peace.